are a few of my favorite things.
Hi, I'm mezzo-soprano Frederica von Stade, and I am backstage with WFMT at the Harris Theater for Music and Dance during rehearsals of A Coffin in Egypt at Chicago Opera Theater. Well, one of my most magical times in the business was auditioning for Leonard Bernstein. I was auditioning for Mahler Fourth. There's a song at the end. And I didn't know it. He didn't ask me to learn it for the audition. But I sang something else, and then he said, "Have you ever heard it?" And I said, quite honestly, no. And he said, "Well, come over here." And in his office, he had a piano just like this. And we sat down, and he probably interrupted 170 meetings that he had that day, but he taught me the fourth movement of Mahler's Fourth, and to learn it with Leonard Bernstein was just magic. And, you know, like everybody else, I've adored him ever since. I took my two girls when they were little to the Met. I think I was singing Carabino. And we had the dress rehearsal in the afternoon. And then it went late, and the cast was coming in for that evening. And among the cast members for the evening was Luciano Pavarotti. And he was singing Cavaradossi. And so he was having to get ready to do the scene where he was sort of beaten up by the guards. And he said to the girls, they were standing there looking at him, and he had this gash on his face. And he said, "You want to taste it? It is toothpaste. They do this with the toothpaste." And so he gave both girls a little taste of the toothpaste on his cheek. We're doing a new production at San Francisco Opera of Il Ritorno d'Ulisse, and it was Tom Hampson, and Susie Graham was doing one of the parts. And the first thing that went wrong, we had a very slanted stage, and it was very, very slippery. It was linoleum or something. And we had these huge costumes with great big capes. So there's a scene where Penelope is the part I played, and the suitors are sort of pursuing her, and we go down to the front of the stage. Well, all four of us kind of stepped on our capes the wrong way and slid, just falling short of going into the orchestra pit. One of my favorite times was I was doing the Olympics in Barcelona, doing a song, and also performing was Vittoria de Los Angeles. And she sang this beautiful, beautiful piece. And just listening to her sing a very strophic sort of magic aria, I thought I was in heaven. I really did. I thought, that is the most beautiful thing I have ever, ever heard. But one of the funny ones was in Paris, and my Lisa was still very young, and I got this call from the Élysée Palace, and it said, it was Giscard d'Estaing was the president of France then. He said, "Monsieur Giscard d'Estaing would like you to come for breakfast in 2 days. Are you free?" And I'd heard always how he loved opera, and I think his daughter sang a little opera, so I thought he was asking the whole cast of The Marriage of Figaro. And I ordered a cab, but one of the babies cried, and so I was a little bit late coming out. So there was, to get a cab in Paris is impossible. So the only thing to do was to run to the metro. So I took the metro to the Élysée Palace, got there. I was all I thought looked nice, and from being in the metro and running, I was just haggard and a mess. And sure enough, I went in and it was me and President Giscard d'Estaing talking about opera. And when it came time to leave, he said, may I send you home in one of my cars? So he must have heard that I came in the subway. And the first time that I was asked by his secretary, I thought it was somebody teasing me, so I sort of went, come on, who is this, you know? One funny time was we did it here in Chicago. We did The Marriage of Figaro, and we went out for our calls at the end of the fourth act, which was very dark. And Ruggero Raimondi was playing Figaro. And I'll never forget. We went out for our calls and we were just about to grab hands, and he had filled his hand with some kind of whipped cream. It just went squish when he went out, and it did go all over the floor, but we, you know, had a great laugh. One of the first productions I did in Europe was in Versailles, in the little theater, the Gabriel Theater. And we had original 18th century costumes. They were remounted, but they were from the Opera Comique. And we would go out and have our lunch very often in costume in the gardens behind Versailles, dressed exactly the way we should have been dressed. And, you know, you look around sometimes, you think, this is pretty special.